And then like off the side of Hello everyone, and welcome to the Safe for Internet Day event 2024, brought to you by the UK Safe for Internet Centre. My name is Cosima, I'm 17 and a ChildNet Digital Champion from the Digital Leaders Programme.
And I'm Rafaro. I'm 15 and I'm a member of the ChildNet Youth Advisory Board. We are the first of many young people you'll be hearing from today, whether you're here in person at the BT Tower
or joining us online via live stream. We'll be your hosts for today's very special Safe for Internet Day event, a Youth Voice conference. We have keynote speakers, panels, and much more, all focusing on the theme of Safe for Internet Day.
Yes, and this year's theme is Inspiring Change, making a difference, managing influence, and navigating change online. So we'll be focusing on young people's perspectives on new and emerging technology and how the internet can be used to make change for the better.
We'll also be covering how things we see and hear online might influence the way we think, feel, act, and most importantly, the changes young people want to see online.
We'll also hear from Will Gardner, a director of the UK Safer Internet Centre.
And later on, we'll be joined by David Johnston, Minister for Children, Families and Wellbeing at the Department for Education, as well as Saqib Bhatti, Minister for Tech and the Digital Economy.
And to start things off, we're going to hear from Umair, who is here on behalf of BT, who are kindly hosting us here today here at the BT Tower. Please can we have a round of applause as we welcome Umair to the stage.
Hello everybody and good afternoon. How are we doing? Amazing, thank you. I'm doing very well, thanks. I'm very excited to be here today. So my name is Umair Tanvir and I recently actually finished a degree apprenticeship here at BT. I am now a fully qualified data engineer working with lots of exciting technologies and systems. Now it's my absolute pleasure to be here today to open this event for Safer Internet Day 2024. BT has not only been just a proud supporter of this event, but also has hosted the launch event here at BT Tower for 9 years in a row and counting. Now, as a young person myself, believe it or not, I am a young person, only 22 years old, don't look it. But as a young person myself, I know exactly how the online space can be a double-edged sword. Now, I remember the first time I created an account on various social media platforms and had lots of fun chatting to friends, family, sharing enjoyable moments with my followers. But then I quickly realized that there were lots of risks associated with social media. Now, in a world increasingly interlinked by our networks and the internet comes a huge responsibility for us at BT Group to connect for good. This extends far beyond the wires, encompassing the safety and well-being of young minds, navigating the growing digital landscape. Now, Safer Internet Day highlights the collective opportunity for us to stand together as industry, government, families, and of course, educators. We're committed to empowering young people with the skills they need to thrive online, safeguarding them from online harms, and ensuring their digital journey is one of learning, positivity, and connection. Now, through BT's digital skills programs, such as EE Phone Smart and EE Learn Smart, we are committed to helping young people be safe and kind online. For example, EE Learn Smart gives kids access to a network of inspiring mentors who are actually everyday experts with real-world experience, and that can help kids better navigate their way through school and life. Now, with snackable lessons, kids can pick up new skills that are fun and engaging through EE Learn Smart. Now, for the parents and guardians out there, we know you can't watch over your kids 24/7. That's why we offer Phone Smart, a free, fun, and interactive course to prepare children for the digital world and help them be safe and kind online, no matter what network you are on. Now, it is events like today that allow for everyone, especially young people, to share their ideas on how we can make the internet a safer place. So a huge thank you to the UK Safer Internet Centre for letting me and BT, of course, be a part of this day. And on that note, thank you all for listening, and I'd like to hand it back to Rafaro. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Umair. And thank you again to BT who are hosting us at our venue, the iconic BT Tower. I would now like to welcome Will Gardner to the stage.
Hi everybody, great to see you all here, and I should really say, Umair, you are extremely young, because he asked me how long I'd been working at ChildNet, and then he said I was born after you had started work at ChildNet, so he's a very, very young man. It's great to see you all here. So I'm Will Gardner, CEO of ChildNet, Director of the UK Safer Internet Centre. Today is Safer Internet Day, great for all of you here in the room and for those joining remotely. There's a lot happening right across the whole country, and it's brilliant to see. There's been lots of media activity. We've seen thousands of organisations register as supporters. We've got schools across the country who are actively running assemblies and classes and generating these really important conversations that need to happen. And that's what Safer Internet Day really helps happen. Conversations between parents and carers and children and young people, between schools and children and young people, between schools and parents and carers, as this, we know, has a really important impact for keeping children safe online. Cosima Rafaro outlined what we've got coming. So we do have a couple of government ministers. One is editing their pre-recorded film as we speak. So it will be a premiere that we get to see when that comes in. And we also have a government minister coming in person. And we've got lots of young people activity. They've been working extremely hard throughout the day to devise interesting workshop activities and seminars for you later on. And those who are joining remotely will get the chance to listen to some of that too. Just to give a little bit of background to Safer Internet Day, to the UK Safer Internet Centre. So the Safer Internet Centre organises Safer Internet Day in the UK. There are Safer Internet Centres right across the EU in every EU country, and they're made up of 3 different components: a helpline, a hotline, and an awareness centre. And in the UK, we are 3 charities that join together and have been working collaboratively together for many years, for 14 years, to provide these key services to the UK. So in the helplines, we have the Professionals Online Safety Helpline, or POSH, providing advice and guidance for professionals who are on the front line working with children and young people when they have online safety needs. We have the Report Harmful Content platform, where people can go and report harmful content that they find online. We have the Revenge Pornography Helpline, which provides really important support to adults who need it in relation to their online experiences. And we have the Internet Watch Foundation, who are the hotline, who provide a world-leading hotline, providing important services to get illegal content removed off the internet. But we also provide more than that. So we provide free educational resources, which are put online on our websites to try and encourage these really important conversations to be happening in schools across the country. We do go out and visit schools, and we talk directly to children and young people and to parents and carers and to school staff, but we need to give tried and tested resources into the hands of those who can use them to make sure that these conversations do happen. And we also work very closely with children and young people. So we have our Digital Leaders Program, and you've got a few digital champions who are here today who are drawn from that group. We have our Youth Advisory Board, who have been really vital for us in keeping tabs on what young people are up to and hearing their perspectives on the work we are doing and on the issues which are happening at the moment. So in all those services, I think we see ourselves as very much a very grassroots organisation. We are working on the ground with people that need support and providing advice to those that need it. And youth voice is absolutely important in that. And that's what we have today. You know, when we use this Central Safer Internet Day event, it's all about trying to really give young people the ears of policymakers. So that's all of you in here, but it's all of those listening beyond, as that is a really important thing for us to try to do. Last year, we had a keynote speech from a 14-year-old, and he said very wisely that every generation's experience of youth is different. Our experience is framed by social media. And it was a really brilliant, succinct way of expressing why that voice needs to be at the table as we're thinking about not just regulation, but what needs to be done in order to try and help protect children online. Safer Internet Day is not just celebrated in the UK. Last year, 180 territories and countries supported the day. I would expect that to be the same, at least, if not more. I've said already that thousands of organisations across the country are actively involved, and many of those have registered as supporters. And it's this big collaboration from schools, from tech industry, from government, from children's charities, from police services, from teachers' unions, from football clubs, all working together to amplify the day that enables it to have the reach that it does. I need to say a special thank you to the exceptional team at the UK Safer Internet Centre and BT, who are working hard behind the scenes to bring everything together here for us at the Tower, and also for those who are watching remotely. Providing incredible support from BT to host this event, but also to broadcast the fact on the BT Tower to the whole of London that it is Safer Internet Day today. This is the 14th time we've organised Safer Internet Day. David reminded me of that just earlier. It seems like just yesterday we began doing this. But since we started it, we've seen a continual growth, and it's become more and more fixed in the calendars of educators and more. And we see it as a real opportunity to bring more people into the fold to talk about online safety, because ultimately this is an issue that's relevant to all organisations, not just schools, not just tech industry, but more than that. And it's that big collaboration which enables the day to have the impact that it does. I do want to extend some special thanks to certain organisations that have made this day possible. 2024 marks the third year, I think, that we've been running Safer Internet Day without support from the EU. And that has been made possible thanks to the invaluable support from Nominet, who have stepped in where the EU was and enabled this whole thing to sustain the whole campaign, but also to continue the momentum of growth that we had going before. And so we're extraordinarily grateful for that. This year, we've also had some brilliant support in from other supporters, particularly from Supercell and Tesco Mobile, who really stepped up to give us the support this year when we needed it. We have also really valuable support in from Apple, Amazon, Discord, Microsoft, Roblox, Snap, and Vodafone, which is, the day works with this support, and we're extremely grateful for that. I also need to thank both TikTok and X for their ad credit support, which is helping us to amplify the reach of the day on social media. And I should say that it is hashtag Safer Internet Day is trending #1 at the UK, and has been for a while today, which is great to see. I would like to also thank the BBC, who have been really busy, particularly BBC Own It, who have been creating amazing content, which is really engaging for children and young people, and for also for parents and carers and for educators. And also the BBC Live lesson went out today at 11 o'clock. Last year, 250,000 young people tuned in to watch that. So it's a brilliant addition in trying to add to the noise that is happening for the day. Government departments are busy. I mentioned before the DfE are very busy making their video, which I'm hoping is nearly finished so we can play it soon. But we also have Department for Science and Information Technology coming shortly to join us. But it's right across the UK. So we've got in Wales, they're celebrating making it a Safer Internet Day week, if you like, with a series of events that are taking place. And they translated the educational resources that we created into Welsh, so they're available to all the schools there. In Scotland, they're also very busy. One of the things which I think is kind of fun, they're lighting up the Scottish Government building orange this year. Orange is the colour we chose for Safer Internet Day in support of the day, and there's lots of activities taking place across the country there. And in Northern Ireland, they've also translated the education resources into Irish. And if you look on the supporters map, there it's just this giant blue dot. You can't see anything apart from Safer Internet Day activity there, which we're really, really impressed with and very, very happy to see. So it's great to see the incredible work that all the supporters are doing. It's helping to amplify the reach of the day. I know many of you have heard me say this before, but we measure the reach and the impact of Safer Internet Day after it happens. And last year, 2023, we did the same survey that we do every year and ask about how many parents and carers heard about the day and how many children and young people aged 8 to 17. And we found that 50% of that age group, young people, heard about the day, and 37% of parents and carers. So it's enormous. It's an enormous day, and it gives us an enormous opportunity to make a difference as we try and promote online safety across the population. But we have data that goes beyond that 50% of young people that tells us that of that 50%, 69% said they felt more confident about what to do if something was worrying them online. 24% said they had spoken to their parent or carer about something or someone that had been worrying them online. And 70% of parents, of the 37%, had said that they had spoken to their child about using the internet safely. So it is a day amongst other days, but with the big collective action, which I think is quite unique to see such a big collaboration, it really does have reach and it really does have impact, and I'm excited to see how it happens this time around. This year's theme, so it's up on the board, we're covering a lot this year, and it really stems from work that we did last May, June, where we did work in primary school and in secondary schools, and also with our Youth Advisory Board and Digital Champions to discuss what do we need to focus on next February when we talk about Safer Internet Day. What are the issues that you want support with, and what are the things which are worrying you online? And we had a lot of information coming back, which we've tried to put together, which you can see on this signpost. Ultimately, it's anchored, all are anchored around the word change. And it's change in a number of different formats. And we've released some research this morning which kind of adds a bit more flesh onto the bones of what we're talking about. So making a difference, this is about what young people can do to support make it, and influence online. We are very aware that young people are active agents in their online lives and want to make a difference. And what is it that we can do to help support that? And I think having a positive action is a really powerful element within Safer Internet Day. We've got some data from our research today that says 77% of 8 to 17-year-olds have stood up for a friend if they saw someone being negative or mean about them online. 60% on the last year, 60% doing that once a month. 41% have signed an online petition in the last year. Half have changed a profile picture or filter to show support for people who've been targeted online or support a particular campaign. And I think it's right to recognise that young people are being active in this space and looking to support them in that so they can do that, to be active citizens, but to do that safely at the same time. The navigating influence, the managing influence side is a bit two-pronged. One is about managing the influence that the content that you see can have on you. It can inspire you, and it can make you feel bad. And what is it that we can do to help manage that? And that does encompass influences, but it encompasses much more than that. But then there's also the influence that the technology can have on you, the devices and the technology that young people are using. It is very sticky. There is persuasive design. Where adults have the same problem of trying to put devices down, and we want to raise young people's literacy so they can help manage the environments which they are in. And we have data today that comes out with young people talking about finding it difficult to stop scrolling and thinking that autoplay makes them watch more and notifications makes them want to pick up their phone. And this is the same, I feel exactly the same way when I think about that from an adult's perspective. But we also find that young people are using strategies to manage that. So we've got 20% of young people who are using tools online to help put limits on their own screen time, to put do not disturb on notifications and other things. And I think it's important that we try and find ways to help people manage that. And the last one about navigating change, I think in the last 6 months it seems like it's been something of a revolution. I know everybody's talking about generative AI, and I think we know what it is, but I don't think we know exactly what it's going to be, and it seems of something quite unknown. And certainly we see young people using that. We've got data today of about a third of young people using Gen AI, and we see young people being really excited by that technology and what it can bring. But we also see, of the third of young people that used it, 3/4 have said they've seen their peers use it positively, and just over half have seen their peers use it negatively. And it's important that we are keeping pace with young people's use of this technology to be able to support them, because both children and parents and carers were talking that they needed more information about how to stay safe in these environments. We have just a couple more stats, and then I will stop because I know that I'm slightly going over time. But we had some data about the Online Safety Act. I talked about navigating change, and there's a big change coming. The Online Safety Act is being passed, and Ofcom is formed and has regulatory powers, and that is, it seems like the giant whale of Ofcom is starting to appear above the water, which has been busy under construction for a period of time, and we're all going to see what it looks like and what teeth it have, if that whale analogy still works. I'm not sure, but that's what's coming. We found that only a third of young people had heard about the Online Safety Act. I thought that was interesting, and only 42% of parents and carers. I'm not saying that's the measure of success of the Act, but I think it is right that we are raising people's expectations of the services which are being regulated in that space. And certainly, we are hearing from young people that 2/3 are saying that they think that is needed, that regulation is needed in this space to help make companies prioritize child protection in the services that they are using. And they absolutely want more information about it. There's a real demand for that. And in some of the data we have around parents and carers and young people's trust in social media companies, which is just under half of young people and parents and carers are saying that they trust the companies, I think the accountability that comes with that regulation is going to be vital to make any improvement in that. And I think that's an opportunity for all of us to think about. I will stop there. One more stat, which I think I heard already, but 80% of young people said that they feel that they should be listened to more about changes in technology. And that's exactly what I hope that we're going to have happening here today. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to hand back to Cosima. But the hope is from everybody at this event and those tuning in that this will be a brilliant opportunity for us to listen to young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Something that really stood out to me from the Safer Internet Day research was that 70% of 8 to 17-year-olds have talked to a friend in the last year about how they feel about being safe online. Online safety is clearly so important to young people, and with that in mind, I would now like to offer a very warm welcome to two of my fellow digital champions, Emma and Jack. Please join me in welcoming them to the stage.
Hello everyone, my name is Emer and I'm 15 years old. I'm here today from County Tyrone in Northern Ireland.
And my name is Jack. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Norwich in Norfolk.
Jack and I are both digital champions, youth representatives for the Child-led Digital Leaders Programme. And today we're here to speak to you on behalf of young people and especially digital leaders from across the country.
As you all know, today is Safer Internet Day, one day a year where people can come together to celebrate all the good things about the internet and technology, but also discuss issues that people could be facing online and find different ways to prevent that.
This year's theme for Safer Internet Day is inspiring change, making a difference, managing influence and navigating change online. So Jack and I are going to kick things off by sharing about what it means to us.
The internet is an important part of young people's lives because it's a way they can socialise with their friends and a way to have fun, for example, through gaming. It can also provide the opportunity to expand their knowledge by searching up different questions or topics and learning and researching more about them.
The internet is changing the world around us massively, whether that's through changes in technology like advancements in AI or in how people use the internet as a tool, perhaps to raise awareness of important issues or to create communities for discussion.
Research for Safer Internet Day found that 74% of parents and carers say that they feel worried that the fast-changing online world poses safety risks to their child. We feel parents do have the right to be worried because technology is advancing and some parents may not know the safety risks that their child may face.
For example, it's important to think about how AI developments could impact young people. They may see fake news and think it's real, being taken in through adverts and clickbait with generative AI, making it easier to do this with images or even full paragraphs of detailed text.
Of course, AI can also benefit young people, such as by using chatbots or similar virtual services to discuss problems they wouldn't be comfortable telling someone in person. These services could also really help those with mental health issues or certain disabilities to develop their social skills in a safe and controlled way.
As well as changing technology, there are other challenges young people need to navigate online. Over a third of young people say they sometimes notice a negative change in their mental well-being when they've been on social media. For example, young people may see inappropriate content or others content that might not seem inappropriate, like beauty content, might start influencing younger people too. For example, to start wearing makeup or even start acting in a certain way because of something they've seen online. For example, a digital leader has told us, quote, "An influencer's beliefs, thoughts and actions affect on how young people think. If an influencer manipulates people to have a bias towards something, people may copy it. If they show up a product, it will make people buy it without a second thought, and people who cannot afford it will be at disadvantage," end quote.
That's an excellent quote from one of our digital leaders. We also know that young people can experience bullying and harassment online. If a young person posted a selfie and received hate comments, it could change their outlook on life because it might change the way they think of themselves and can influence mental health issues. Additionally, a lot of people, myself included, worry about the privacy you have on certain platforms and them having access to things on your device that you wouldn't want them to.
But there are things we can all do to make a difference, to manage influence and to navigate the changing things we see online. Parents and carers, check in with your child and see if everything's okay, especially if your child is online a lot. It also helps to be more aware of what your child can access online.
We would like to see the government being more aware of the issues young people face online and providing advice on ways young people can protect themselves online. And to the internet industry, you need to be stricter with app and game ratings, especially with social media platforms, so people can't just make up a birthday to get on one. A digital leader also has this call to action for industry, quote, "They could be more relatable and explain things in an easy manner that people can understand. Instead of having a ton of words pop up on your screen, maybe try to make it appealing to the eye by making it colourful. They could also put the safety measures in a video and explain what each safety measure is trying to protect them from. Summarising each point in bullet points is also a good idea," end quote.
Some great examples there of what the industry can do. In research for Safer Internet Day, 80% of young people said they believe they should be listened to more about the changes in technology, including how it can remain safe. Luckily, Jack and I are just two of the many young people you'll have the opportunity to listen to today.
All of us involved at today's event here at BT Tower, and those young people who are attending a separate event at Parliament as we speak, have spent a lot of time preparing. We've worked hard to plan what we wanted to say and find ways to share it with all of you.
But Safer Internet Day is about everyone working together. So our challenge to you is not just to listen to the voices you'll hear today, but to learn from the things you're hearing and take this away and make changes that will make the internet a safer and more positive place for children and young people like us.
Thank you, Emma and Jack, and to the other digital leaders who contributed quotes for that speech. It's a helpful reminder that Safer Internet Day is not just being celebrated here today with this event, but all across the country where thousands of schools and other organisations are taking part. Let's hear from just a few of them who have sent us clips of their plans today.
At Milton Abbey, our digital leaders are making a series of social media posts for parents to explain what help students need to navigate the online world. Additionally, all students will get the chance to explore one of the themes for Safer Internet Day in our PSHE lessons.
Hi everyone, it's Corpus Christi Catholic High School in Cardiff. For Safer Internet Day, we'll be sharing check-in time and creating app activities with our peers in from time. We will also be sharing or learning with parents and carers.
Hello, we are Preston Primary School. For Safer Internet Day, we are doing a whole school assembly, a workshop in every class, and a visit to a local school. I can't wait!
Hello from King's Hill School. For Safer Internet Day 2024, we will be learning about what change and influence online means to us and our peers.
And how we can get the best out of life online.
We can't wait to take part in a range of fun activities around the school.
Happy Safer Internet Day!
Hello to everyone celebrating Safer Internet Day 2024.
We are the digital leaders
From Caroline Hazlitt Primary School
In Milton Keynes.
It is our year to deliver a number of assemblies and teach house swap afternoon lessons.
This will include mixing students in the school.
I can't wait to teach my younger brother.
We hope our people-powered online safety
Will ensure that Caroline Hazlitt children know how to make the internet a better place.
Hi from Shorley Community Primary Academy in Epsom. For Safer Internet Day this year, we will be running an assembly all about what change and influence means to us.
Hello from Babington Academy at Leicester. Today we are inspiring change for a Safer Internet Day by
looking at the theme during our Do Now activities in each lesson and completing the quiz.
Then at the end of the day, our student safeguarding leads will pick a winner
who would then earn a prize. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Great to hear from just a few schools about their Safer Internet Day activities there. And remember that you can see all the schools and other settings who have signed up to support the day on the interactive supporters map on the UK Safer Internet Centre's website.
We have now arrived at a slightly complicated part of the proceedings, as we have some breakout sessions hosted by 4 groups of children and young people. To those of you watching via the live stream, we're going to cut to a short video whilst we move people around here at the BT Tower. There might be a short pause after that, so please bear with us and don't go anywhere, as you will shortly be treated to a fantastic breakout on generative AI. This will include a Q&A from 4 youth representatives, Jaden, Jeremy, Maximilian and Mariam. We'll see you soon.
What date is Safer Internet Day this year?
The 6th of February.
This year's theme is Inspiring Change, making a difference, managing influence and navigating change online.
Well, in our school we will be learning about how we as young children can use the internet to make a change for the better.
So this Safer Internet Day we are doing an acrostic poem and a play script for an iMovie.
We have been taking part in targeted assemblies for each year group, which focus on limiting your exposure to online and talking about like the unrealistic standards that Instagram and Facebook and all those social media apps provide.
We will be learning through lots of fun and interactive lessons online to be SMART online. Also, we will discuss the different things that make children think, act and behave different on and offline.
Our school will be spending each class on the 6th of February encouraging better safety online and encouraging good mental well-being as well.
More warning for violent games. Cameras when you're putting in your age so as the game can tell if you're telling the truth, and you can't get onto over 18 games. If parent knew more about what you were doing online and knew more about parental logs. If companies who own the internet would ban scammers.
Well, I guess if it wouldn't let anyone say mean stuff to people or ask them any questions like what's your address.
In my opinion, I think the internet would be a lot safer if it was less accessible and parents were more educated on how to limit screen time.
Getting rid of all the not appropriate videos.
And who would do that?
Like people who care for children, like the children's safety team.
Someone online might lie about who they are, and information on the internet may not always be true. Always check information.
If you're playing an online game, make sure you're only playing with your friends, not strangers.
Don't share your personal information online. Don't click on any links you're not sure about. If someone is annoying you, tell a trusted adult.
I get permission from my parents on what I search up on Safari or Google, and I use age-appropriate stuff.
Remember, online friends are still strangers even if you've been talking to them for a long time.
So please remember to stay safe online.
Stay safe. Stay safe. Stay safe, kids!
Now, don't laugh at me, alright? Don't be laughing.
Thank you everyone and welcome back. Please can you now welcome to the stage your speakers for this breakout session on generative AI.
Hi, so I'm Maximilian and I'm part of the ChildNet Youth Advisory Board.
Hello, I'm Mariam and I'm also part of the ChildNet Youth Advisory Board.
I'm Jaden and I'm a digital champion here at ChildNet.
And I'm Jeremy and I'm also part of the ChildNet Digital Champions.
So for this session, we're going to give a 10-minute presentation and then you'll have 15 minutes for Q&A. So you can submit questions online by going through the link above and entering the code.
So firstly, we want to talk about how young people are using generative AI. Some examples that we have that young people are using generative AI with are Snapchat AI, ChatGPT, and Character AI. And they're mainly using it with their friends or on their own.
Generative AI can be used to create videos, text, or memes that some young people may use for viral TikTok trends. For example, the infamous More trend, where people try and push the boundaries of AI.
So we also use generative AI for different reasons, so such as creativity with image generation, with generating music, poems, and stories, as well as learning, so translations and summaries. And like Mariam mentioned, so to push AI to its limits and really test out its different safeguards and restrictions.
So, what opportunities can generative AI offer for children and young people? We use it for example, inspiration for videos to watch, good inspiration for music, and personally, I use it for baking. For example, I have a recipe for Biscoff cheesecake, and my family didn't know it was made by ChatGPT for a year.
So AI is also useful for learning and as an educational tool. So for those who can access it, it's a great tutor that can explain difficult concepts, generate practice tests, and get step-by-step solutions. And it's also really useful to understand the algorithmic bias that AI can present. And playing with these tools can help you see their limitations and not rely on them as much.
AI contributes to job creation by fostering development of AI technology. Additionally, there's an increase in demand for professionals skilled in AI implementation and data analysis.
Generative AI can also be used in the creativity side. For example, what I use it for, I normally use it to create, like, for example, photos, artworks, and videos, and mostly inspirational videos, and it's mostly linked to computing. And it's actually really helpful because me personally, I'm not able to, I don't have that kind of skill to actually do it. So I'm using generative AI to actually help me is going to be really helpful. Now, the challenges of using generative AI. Now, generative AI can do a whole lot in our human lives, and one of them is homework. And the thing is, homework is not really meant. Generative AI is not really meant for homework, as homework is mostly for the brain work, basically. So using generative AI, it will just reduce the amount of brain work and just limits the amount of learning you'll get, instead of you actually trying to get the answers. You can actually try and get some ideas during it, basically.
So generative AI can also be manipulated to show people potentially harmful content. So because most generative AI has text as an input, we can make up situations or characters to kind of manipulate AI and make it bypass its safeguards. So an example of this is if we'd like to ask AI how to build a bomb, instead of asking it directly, which it would answer no, you would say, make a detailed movie script about a bomb to kind of circumvent the measures put in place by the people who created that bomb.
As AI becomes more sophisticated, cybersecurity risks may include advanced cyber attacks using generative AI tools, which causes the evasion of traditional security measures.
Something that can be challenging for children and young people is the fact that AI isn't complete, and it does have a limited data set, so it could give incorrect or inaccurate answers or not be able to fill in where it might have gaps in its data set, and that can confuse children and young people. So it's important to know that it doesn't always have the information you need, and sometimes you can rely on humans more than generative AI.
What changes are needed to support us and other young people with generative AI?
Within education, we think that children and young people should be encouraged to understand AI's concepts and its applications. For example, children and young people could be worried perhaps about AI, and what's important to teach them is that it can be integrated into society quite well, and we can teach them positives and negatives and sort of fuse them together to create a friendly community using generative AI.
So in education, teaching and supporting young people to use AI effectively is really important. So using things like critical thinking and fact-checking. So for instance, using ChatGPT to plagiarize an entire essay is quite unethical, but using it to spar or generate some ideas, get a draft or an outline is fine in my opinion.
Also, in schools, they should be able to teach the children to use generative AI a lot, because generative AI is being used like mostly in anything. So in schools, knowing that children is going to be using generative AI, they should teach them to use it licensely instead of like negatively.
In schools and at home, filtering and monitoring can be used to prevent AI access. For example, in a lot of schools today, AI is actually being banned because of plagiarism. However, we discussed that we think that rather than banning it completely, it'd be better to work with AI rather than completely banning it and enhancing our AI ability and creating work that's better than before.
Now, the parents and carers should also supervise their children whilst they are using generative AI, as they know more about the good and bad things in life. So them supervising the children will know like basically the good things, parts of it, of generative AI instead of the bad things, basically.
I think that parents and carers should learn about AI a bit more, and especially generative AI, they should try and help their children to use it, or they can learn with their children or like on their own, and then they can encourage their children to use generative AI more positively, and they'll be better equipped to help their children with any other issues they may find in the broader online community.
So for tech companies, safety by design is something that we really need with AI. So we want you to look ahead and consider the impact of the products that you're developing before you release them. So an example of where this was not respected was Google Photos, where the AI tagged African-American men as gorillas. And another example of this is the recent US Senate hearing in which social media platforms are in trouble for aggravating teen mental health.
I think that the government needs to account for young people's perspectives and opinions when they're, for instance, planning a policy or legislation that could have an impact on children and young people's experiences on the internet. And a way that I think they could combat this is perhaps maybe sending surveys around to schools for the children to answer that they can then consult children and young people on the issue with, as that can give us more of a say in a community that belongs to all of us.
The government could invest in educational programs, funding initiatives that support AI research and that could eventually lead to effective workforces who can utilize AI tools. It's now time for the Q&A, so you can submit questions online by going to mentimeter.com.
Hi everyone, so I'm here to kind of host the Q&A, if that makes sense. So our first question is, do you find that AI-generated content feels less special than more authentic content, even if it's technically like good or well-made? Maximilian, can we hear from you?
Yeah, I think given that AI takes inspiration from other things that it's already seen, we definitely do get a less unique result.
For sure, and Jeremy, can we hear from you?
Okay, please repeat the question.
Do you think that AI-generated art and things is less special because it's not authentic?
Well, in my opinion, I think it is special, kinda. Well, actually, can I repeat the question again, because I didn't quite
I think we can go over to the next one. Where do you currently learn about new generative AI technologies, or do you tend to kind of self-learn them? Can we hear from you, Mariam?
Well, usually I kind of self-learn because I haven't really been taught by anyone. But for example, I was actually introduced to ChatGPT by one of my friends. So if I find it hard to write an email, I usually go through that. And it's more trial and error rather than I watch a YouTube video and trying to learn it.
And Jaden, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I want to echo Mariam's point, and I also want to point out that we are the first generation who has sort of a broader access to a wider internet with generative AI easily accessible. And so I really do think self-learning and finding out from your friends is the main way you're going to find out about generative AI if you're sort of more experienced on the internet.
For sure, I think definitely at the moment I've not come across any kind of AI training or kind of information packs beyond kind of the do's and don'ts. Maximilian, can we hear your advice for another young person if they were scared or worried about AI and its kind of future uses?
Yeah, so I think that young people are scared of AI because it's so new. This is something that our parents haven't grown up with, that we're not really taught to use. And so we definitely just really need to use critical thinking to make sure to fact check as much as possible with AI.
And Mariam, do you have any advice?
I think, as I mentioned previously in one of the slides, as AI becomes more enhanced and sophisticated, AI technology will have more restrictions and more monitoring. So therefore, I think rather than being scared, I think it will have more safety precautions. So it's not really, you shouldn't really be scared of it.
Okay, and Jaden, do you think that, like social media has age restrictions, so Instagram, I think that's about 13 at the moment, do you think AI and generative AI should have age restrictions, and do you think it should be enforced?
That's a really interesting question, and I think that it's, at the minute, the demographic that's using generative AI is sort of around the same age as those who are using Instagram, so probably starting from age 13 and going up to maybe like 25, that's like the most sort of popular range, I'd say. And I'd probably say that for those sort of ranges, it's okay if you're using the correct sort of like types and being responsible. So I'd say maybe not an age restriction, but perhaps more like monitoring, similar to social media. If like the people who like monitor the responses and like create them, they could like go through them and they could have like a reporting team if somebody thinks like if you report it now.
Sort of like the regulation of content to make sure that young people aren't exposed to things they shouldn't be exposed to on other platforms like social media.
100%.
Maximilian, do you have any thoughts on that, if there should be age restrictions?
Yeah, I definitely think there should be age restrictions, but as we've learned with social media, those aren't always respected. People are going to make up birth dates, they're going to find ways to get into it. So I think the biggest thing is education. I mean, we need to teach people how to use AI effectively and how to use it best in their daily lives.
And do you think, for example, that the age restriction enhancements outlined in the Online Safety Act is something that should be applied to generative AI?
I think it definitely should, because AI is an extension of social media. Lots of content from generative AI does end up on social media.
And Jeremy, what capabilities would you like to see in generative AI that don't currently exist?
Well, to be honest, I think that the generative AI can probably create good things in our life, because generative AI as we said earlier, generative AI can do a whole lot. So it's being able to create probably a spaceship, probably. It could help NASA, for example, with their instead of the scientists actually trying to build something, the generative AI could actually do it for them.
That's really interesting, kind of using AI to sort of enhance potentially tricky scientific advancements. That's really interesting. And Jaden, do you trust information online less now that you know some of it might be, for example, AI generated?
I think if the information is cited to a specific location and it has the link, then it's more trustworthy than perhaps if it's just for instance, just written that down and hasn't put a source down. So for instance, when you search sometimes on browsers and it has an AI sometimes at the top, it will cite many sites that it's used. And it's, sometimes when that happens, it's just more insightful to see where the different information's come from, as opposed to just a block of text that's not really telling you anything whether it's trustworthy or not. It's just a bunch of information.
So would you say that if something isn't marked explicitly where it's come from, then you maybe trust it a bit less?
Well, probably a bit less, but I wouldn't say I completely distrust it.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting to hear. And Maximilian, do you find yourself using AI as potentially a friend to talk to or something to bounce back ideas off, both in maybe an academic setting or even a social setting? What do you think the kind of pros and cons are of interacting with AI?
Well, I think it's great, especially for educational purposes. I mean, sparring with it, generating ideas, it's kind of an extension of your mind and just creating and building on what you have done previously. But I do think that there are lots of cons to it. I mean, as we've said before, it relies on a database that's already been created. So it's inputting things that have already been created.
Okay. And say, Mariam, do you think that the kind of interaction with AI, do you think it's helping young people more or it's harming them?
Well, I definitely think there are pros and cons, and it really depends on the individual and how they're using it. For example, some people with character AI, some people may gain parasocial relationships with characters that aren't actually real. However, some people, when they use ChatGPT for mundane tasks that they might not want to do themselves, I say that's a pro. So there's definitely pros and cons to the whole thing.
For sure. And Jaden, do you think your teachers are generally confident in understanding the safe use of AI? Or do you think there's room for education?
I definitely think that they need to sort of learn a little bit more about generative AI and how it can be used in like a school setting and in like home settings as well, so they can understand maybe where to like guide us. So possibly like in the form of information packs, or we like as digital leaders, as I'm a digital champion, we could possibly create assemblies to educate not just the students but the teachers on that sort of like front.
That's really interesting. Do you think, Mariam, let's go back to you. Do you think that monitoring a child's use of the internet, whether it's AI or potentially AI interwoven with social media, by parents is a good thing or a bad thing, that kind of oversight?
Well, I 100% think, depending on the child's age, maybe like 16 and below, they definitely need to be monitored because, like the whole PowerPoint was discussing, it can generate a lot of harmful things. So I do believe that there needs to be a lot of monitoring from parents.
That's really good to hear. Maximilian, do you have any kind of final thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, especially explaining to them that you're monitoring it, so not blindsiding them and spying on them, kind of, just really building that trust and that connection.
And you all mentioned kind of a point of bias among AI. Overall, do you think generative AI is biased? Can we have like a quick fire response from each of you, starting with Maximilian?
Yeah, I definitely think it is biased because, I mean, the countries that can collect data are often the richest countries, which do not obviously represent the diversity of the world's population. So that entire database can be biased.
And Mariam, do you think it's biased from your kind of experience?
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention in the PowerPoint is that actually when an AI was asked to generate a person of a certain ethnicity, it actually gave something really stereotypical, which can have a major effect on young people and reinforce stereotypes. So I definitely think there is a bias.
And Jaden, what about you? Do you think, have you experienced any kind of bias when maybe using AI?
I've personally not experienced too much bias, but I think it's definitely a possibility if you're like just using it to get information or instructions on, no, not necessarily instructions, more like information, like research, because it can give you like one side of the argument but not another in lots of instances.
So maybe more like an unconscious bias that you've experienced.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Jeremy, finally, on this kind of topic, do you think that there's bias in AI?
Yes. And as basically Jaden said, that they, he basically talked about like the research about if they looked at one side, then they won't look at the other. So to me, I feel like it's going to be biased.
And would you say overall that your experiences of AI have been more positive, more negative? Any kind of specific examples of that? Mariam, can we hear from you?
Well, specifically me, because I use generative AI to like complete like the mundane tasks I don't want to do. For example, like ChatGPT helps me write emails quite nicely. So instead of sitting there and writing a bunch of emails, I can just quickly, oh, these are the points, here you go. And I really think it depends on the individual who's using the AI and which way you use it. That actually shows whether it's a pro or a con.
And do you all think that in the future, young people will kind of increasingly question the authenticity of the content they consume online, such as, images? If you think about the context of AI being incorporated into video editing software, as we've seen with kind of AI fill on Photoshop, do you think that will cause more questioning and kind of more young people to consider what they see online as like misinformation? Can we hear from Maximilian?
Yeah, I think that deepfakes especially are really important because it's super hard to tell on social media platforms. And so I think Instagram was trying to implement a feature where they would be able to tell if something was AI generated. So as long as we put more measures and guidance in place, I think it'll help.
For sure, I think kind of signposting that if AI is present in kind of the modification of images is really important. Jaden, do you have any more thoughts on that?
I was going to say that as lots of information and, like, say for instance, creative AI such as we've discussed, DALL-E, become more like advanced, then it will definitely be harder to distinguish perhaps when something's AI generated, which is why these AI generated tags, like if we can trust people to put them on a post, that would like help this system to detect if something's AI generated. That would be like probably the most useful way to distinguish that. But like yeah, I think it's going to definitely become harder if we don't implement a system to like distinguish whether something is AI generated or real.
And for Mariam, if you could ask an expert on AI one question about its development or really anything, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I'd probably ask, what safety measures would you put in place to make sure AI doesn't go out of hand and it carries on being a safe tool?
Jeremy, what would you ask an expert on AI? Anything.
Anything. So, one thing that I would have asked is, what mind was made to actually create the generative AI, and as Mariam said, the safety and probably just the safety and what gave you the mind to actually create generative AI.
It's really thought-provoking. I definitely have considered how it all came to pass. And I think a kind of recurring theme is safety of AI. Is definitely something we're all thinking about. Jaden, how do you think we can educate younger children to recognise the risks AI might pose? And are there any specific risks you think that are kind of more focused around the younger children?
There's not too many off the top of my head that I can think of in terms of risks, but I definitely think a way that we can educate people, especially younger people, is with, as I mentioned before, Digital Leaders Programme, we can create assemblies to educate people, because in school, assemblies is like the #1 way to pass around information, make something known to the whole community. So I think that's going to be really key in educating like the younger people, especially the younger demographic of that age group. How we can,
Maximilian, do you think there are any specific ways or topics about AI that should be used to educate kind of young people, specifically kind of younger children?
I think definitely different types of harmful content that we can find and generate with AI, but also, like we mentioned previously, unconscious biases is something that can really be perpetrated by AI and that can be really negative.
And do you think that it's important to sort of get that education in early so that as young people are growing up with this AI, they don't kind of misuse it in terms of maybe bullying or anything like that? Do you think that there is really an importance, as we've seen with social media, in kind of educating people young?
Definitely, yeah.
And Mariam, do you think that that's a kind of important thing too?
Yes, definitely in today's age. I think because things are constantly changing, it's definitely important that we educate younger children on things that might come up in the future.
It's really interesting to hear. I think that just about wraps up this Q&A. So thank you so much, everyone, for your fabulous responses. I know I've learned a lot. I'm no expert on AI, but I feel like I'm closer to one now. And I hope everyone else here is too. So thank you very much.
The one change I'd like to see this Safer Internet Day is less fake accounts.
One thing that I would like to change online is to have more restrictions and resources to protect our private information.
I would like for stronger regulation on social media, especially on apps like X, Yubo and Wiz, as there are things on those apps and others that are not safe for young people, even though it is supposedly their biggest priority.
The one change I'd like to see online is the unrealistic beauty standards.
The one change I'd like to see for Safer Internet Day is the education over AI.
The one change that I would like to see online is to have a safer and more secure kind of online space.
One change I would like to see this Safer Internet Day is for children to be more guarded from dangerous trends because it could affect their mental and physical health.
The one change I'd like to see online is more safe media tailored for children.
One change I would like to see this year is better protection for people's safety online.
I would like to see more awareness and regulation regarding young people and children's access to the internet.
I think we need to prioritise educating adults and parents on the dangers of exposing young children to social media and unregulated internet use. I also believe that we need more laws on child exploitation and child influences online to prevent young people from being endangered by strangers.
The one change I'd like to see online is stronger privacy.
The one change I would like to see online is the expectation to always be available.
The one change I would like to see this Safety Internet Day is more online regulations to keep young people online. Like for example, an ID just for use online, so people can know your age and that you can't say whatever you want without any consequences.
The one change I'd like to see online is the privacy to protect ourselves.
One thing I'd like to see change online is if there was a time limit on every website.
One thing that I would like to change online is putting safety of young people first when it comes to firms and their priorities.
If I could change one thing online, then it would be it wasn't so addictive.
The one change I would like to see at this Safer Internet Day is an increased focus on education and awareness for our younger generation to learn how to safely and properly use the internet.
The one change I'd like to see online is more ethics regulations regarding to online media.
If I could change one thing online, it would be stopping people from sending nasty messages.
The one change I would like to see online is making the internet a safer and more positive place for all.
I'd like to wish a happy, safer Internet Day.
Happy 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 Safer Internet Day, everybody.
Have a happy and healthy Safer Internet Day.
Happy Safer Internet Day. Happy Safer Internet Day.
Happy Safer Internet Day.
Welcome back, everyone. Oh. Welcome back, everyone. Now I'd like to welcome a special guest who is joining us via video. Joining us virtually is David Johnston, Minister for Children, Families and Wellbeing at the Department for Education.
Thanks to the UK Safer Internet Centre for inviting me and all their work in this area. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I've got a debate in Parliament this afternoon. Although I have only been the Minister for Children since August, I know the department has been a great supporter of Safer Internet Day and more broadly keeping children and young people safe online. I'm told there are some young people there today, and I want to tell them that I'm someone for whom the internet, when I was your age, was something I got through an AOL dial-up connection, something you probably can't even comprehend now. And while it was exciting then, both the possibilities and the risks of the online world were a fraction of what they are today. We want the internet to continue to be a place where young people and adults can continue to learn, communicate, and be entertained. But we also want it to be a place where they're protected from the threats of inappropriate content, cyberbullying, and grooming. None of them new threats, but ones that have increased in size as the potential of the online world has increased overall. Later, you'll hear from my colleague, the Minister for Technology and the Digital Economy. He will talk all about our Online Safety Act, so I won't do that now. I'll instead say a couple of things about what the department has been doing to support children and young people being safe online. Firstly, we heard from schools that they needed more support with school systems, so we developed new filtering and monitoring standards for being online. We're currently reviewing these standards to ensure they're doing everything they need to, and we will report back on what we've found from that review later this year. We've also significantly strengthened our Keeping Children Safe in Education guidance, which advises schools on how to protect their pupils online. In our SHE, pupils are taught what positive, healthy, and respectful online relationships look like, as well as how to get help and support for issues they encounter. Again, we've been reviewing those standards and that content to ensure it covers everything that it needs to. We have also updated the Teaching Online Safety in Schools guidance, used our Education Against Hate website established in 2016 to provide practical advice on spotting misinformation and how to stay safe online, amongst a whole range of other topics. And last year we published a paper on generative AI in education, which clearly has huge potential, but as with everything in the online world, needs to have the right safeguards in place to protect children and young people. So we continue to review what we need to do to ensure that we make the most of all the benefits of the online world, while making sure we address the understandable concerns that parents and teachers have about children being harmed. And I look forward to working with all of you to ensure we achieve the right balance. Thank you.
Thank you so much to David for tuning in virtually. It was so interesting to hear about the Department for Education's work. And welcome back, everybody, from whichever breakout session you are participating in just now. Let's give a huge round of applause to all of the youth representatives who hosted those sessions today.
I'm pleased to be able to now introduce two of my fellow Youth Advisory Board members to the stage. Samia is 14 and from Buckinghamshire, whilst Lewis is 17 and from Edinburgh. They're going to speak to you a little more about some of the changes young people would like to see to support them online. Please join me in welcoming Samia and Lewis to the stage.
I want to tell you about my classmate, Elliot. He's your average UK teenager, spending a staggering 40 hours per week endlessly scrolling through social media. Like countless young people, Elliot loses 91 days each year to social media. It's alarming to think that social media companies have essentially turned your phones into weapons of mass consumption, ones that we happily and willingly carry in our pockets. They've invested billions into capturing our attention and exploiting our dopamine receptors, all with the lure of intermittent random rewards. These corporations are using the very same psychological manipulation as gambling companies. The result? My peers are struggling to manage their time and are more vulnerable than ever to the detrimental effects of online hate, polarizing content, and the darker sides of artificial intelligence. This issue also disproportionately affects girls. They tend to spend an average of an hour longer each day scrolling through social media. Excessive screen time and increased exposure to other online harms is leading to mental health issues like depression and anxiety. Increasing reports of social isolation and loneliness among young people, along with reduced attention spans, would threaten our economy, productivity, and well-being.
However, with clear regulations and protections for young people online, social media can be a space that returns to its original purpose, a safe space for sharing, learning, and interacting. In 2019, the Science and Technology Committee of the House of Commons published a report covering the impact of social media and screen use on young people's health. It recommended that strategies to prolong user engagement should be prohibited. Such a law would mitigate what the committee called a host of unintended consequences, dangerous to the well-being of children. We would like to see social media companies address this issue and start to reduce their use of notifications, autoplay, and streaks that are designed to actively prolong user engagement.
The actions of those in power now will define the health and prosperity of my classmate Elliot and millions of young people around the world. We believe this issue is the greatest threat to children's online safety. But it's not the only issue facing our generation. As we heard earlier today, AI, and particularly generative AI, is creating new opportunities for children and young people. Already, young people are using AI to develop businesses, push creative boundaries, and write keynote speeches. But not ours, of course. 66% of young people already report feeling excited about the developments with artificial intelligence, virtual reality headsets, and new social media apps. As Will highlighted earlier, of those who have used generative AI, 72% have seen people their age use it in a positive way. However, over half have seen people their age use it in a negative way.
Even though it shouldn't be, this is a major issue in the current day. 2 weeks ago, an explicit AI-generated photo of well-known musician Taylor Swift went viral, garnering over 40 million views across various platforms. However, this issue not only affects adults, but also young people. We are worried that some people have turned a blind eye to the experiences of young people or less famous influencers who have been targeted through AI-generated images. So many people are talking about AI, but they're focusing on the positives and forgetting about the potential dangers. Nonetheless, this kind of behavior has been an issue long before AI's push into the media. In 2021, a 14-year-old girl sadly took her own life after being bullied by her classmates, including having an explicit image generated of her. This issue not only questions the ethics of the existence of AI, but also the morals of the humans themselves that are generating these. Even with globally renowned pop star that is frequently on screen, it took 40 million views to realize that the image belongs to a real person.
From a macro perspective, deepfakes pose a great risk to the very integrity of our democracy by undermining the trustworthiness of visual and audio information. It's easier than ever to create highly realistic videos of individuals doing things that they never actually did. This manipulation of media can be exploited to spread false information, influence public opinion, and discredit political figures or institutions. In democratic societies, where informed decision-making relies on access to accurate information, the proliferation of deepfakes can erode trust in the media, sow confusion among the public, and ultimately undermine the democratic process. So, Samuel, how can we save Taylor Swift and our democracy?
There are plenty of paths to take in ensuring young people get the safest online experience. For this, we asked social media companies to take strong action in finding and banning AI content that may be misleading or inappropriate. We realize it is not easy among the millions of users present on each platform online, but it would be highly useful to educate users on finding and reporting explicit material or misinformation. However, there are many steps we can take as a country on this issue. It is imperative we regard this as seriously as sexual harassment or images of child sexual abuse. This means educating about it in schools, enforcing it in communities, and addressing it more frequently in Parliament and news stations in order to work out the best possible solutions. Could the answer be to ban generative AI? Obviously, an outright ban would signal the end for both negatives and positives. The final theme we wanted to address is very relevant to today's Safer Internet Day, and that is influence and influencers.
Online platforms serve as powerful mediums for positive influencers who inspire and uplift young people. From motivational speakers and fitness coaches to educators and activists, these influencers use their platforms to share valuable insights, encouragement, and guidance. Through online activism and advocacy, young individuals can make meaningful contributions to social and environmental causes, empowering them to shape their futures and impact the world positively.
However, young minds are malleable. What if the negative influences impact us more than the positives? Negative messages heard online can heavily alter a person's behavior offline, affecting their attitude, approach to learning, and can even cause emotional distress. Young people are heavy users of social media at times when our brain is still developing and we're going through puberty, moving schools, taking important exams, and starting to become young adults. We have enough to be dealing with, thank you.
Another fault by design lies in the echo chamber structure of social media platforms and their algorithms. Negative influencers thrive by perpetuating and amplifying divisive content that resonates with the biases of their followers. This environment fosters polarization and hinders constructive dialogue by reinforcing existing beliefs and limiting exposure to diverse perspectives. But what can actually be done to begin making influence online more positive for young people?
Social media companies can mitigate any possible negative influences by implementing algorithms that highlight diverse viewpoints and challenge users' preconceptions. Promoting media literacy and critical thinking skills among users can help mitigate the impact of misinformation and encourage open-mindedness. Along with this, encouraging civil discourse and constructive engagement online, as well as fostering diverse online communities, can also help break down echo chambers. We need regulatory measures to ensure platforms have effective content moderation to combat the spread of harmful misinformation. Earlier today, you heard from Ema and Jack, who set you a challenge to listen to young people and to learn from the things you're hearing. Take this away and make changes that will make the internet a safer and more positive place for all of us.
Thank you to everyone who has joined us today. It's great that you're making time to listen to young people. But listening alone is not enough. We need you to work together to inspire change with your actions and make the internet safer for us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir and Lewis, for what I think we can all agree was a powerful and inspiring speech. I'm very pleased to be able to now welcome to the stage Saqib Bhatti, Minister for Tech and the Digital Economy.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you so much for inviting me here today. I've long admired the fantastic work that the UK Safer Internet Centre does to help our children and young people to stay safe online, and it's great to see so many of you here today who share in that mission. The internet age has already transformed our daily lives beyond recognition. Each and every one of us here today has the world at our fingertips. Young children, like mine, will grow up with unparalleled access to information and opportunity, able to connect with friends and family far away. But though the internet can be an extraordinary force for good in our children's lives, there is no denying that it can also do them great harm. Almost 3/4 of parents worry about their children's safety online. And it's not just parents. The research that the Safer Internet Institute has released today shows us that children are worried too. And of course, that's no surprise. We already know that the average age that a child can see pornography online is 13. In a world that increasingly requires children to be online for their education and social lives, it is not right that they should be exposed to illegal or harmful content that puts them just a couple of clicks away from adulthood. It is clear that a hands-off approach to our children's safety online doesn't work. These are dangers that we cannot afford to ignore. That's why I'm so pleased that my department passed the Online Safety Act late last year. And the legislation has 3 key aims. First and foremost, it will ensure that what is illegal offline is illegal online by tackling criminal activity across the internet. Platforms will need to take proactive steps to tackle heinous content that haunts our web, from terrorist material to child sexual abuse and exploitation, and must quickly remove it once alerted to its presence. And it goes without saying that they will not be able to promote these unforgivable crimes in their algorithms. But we're not just holding companies to account for existing illegal content that is shared on their platforms. We're updating the criminal law also to reflect that some of the appalling activities that have emerged in the internet age are also legislated against. Last week, we saw the introduction of new offences to update our law on tackling cyberflashing, sending death threats, and encouraging or assisting on self-harm online. From now on, it will be easier to hold perpetrators responsible for their actions. Zach's law will also ban epilepsy trolling, in tribute to the tireless campaigning of Zach Eagling, his mum, and the Epilepsy Society to get this vital piece of legislation across the line. Secondly, when it comes to children, the Act goes further. It does not just protect children from illegal behaviour, it obliges services to put safety measures in place for child users that protect them from content that threatens to do them irreparable harm, from the promotion of suicide and self-harm to bullying and pornography. And finally, the Act applies a simple logic to increase platforms' transparency and their accountability by ensuring that they keep the promises that they make to users. And if tech companies say that something is banned in their terms and conditions, they must stand by that. Nor will they be able to start removing content arbitrarily. And if users feel that they have been mistreated, they also have the right to appeal. Safeguards for the fundamental freedom of expression that keeps our online world alive have been built right into the foundations of this Act, because online safety is not a synonym for censorship. Our Act is about protecting children and empowering adult users to make choices about the kinds of legal content that they do and do not want to see. With these 3 principles, the Online Safety Act represents a real step change, levelling the playing field between parents and big tech so we can build a better internet experience for all. And for the first time ever, social media companies will be held to account. And if they ignore their duties, Ofcom, the independent regulator, will be able to fine them. And for the largest of companies, this could potentially be billions of pounds. And the impact of the Act is already being felt in the real world. The offences we introduced last week will mean that criminals can now face up to 5 years in prison for their demeaning and dangerous actions, depending on the offence. Ofcom have started developing and consulting on guidance and codes of practice that will set out how companies can meet their duties. And some of the biggest tech companies in the world have already started taking action. And as technology evolves in the months and years to come, the Act's flexible and forward-looking design means it will continue to transform our online lives for the better. With the Online Safety Act, the UK showed that we are ready to step up to the plate on what I believe is one of the defining challenges of our time. But we know that the online world does not respect borders. The harms we are trying to tackle affect users wherever they are. International collaboration, therefore, is essential for our success. That's why the Secretary of State and I have been so determined to lead global discussions with like-minded partners, sharing experiences and building consensus around our approaches to online safety. So I'm delighted to announce today that the UK has signed up as a formal member of the French Child Online Protection Laboratory, working with governments, civil society and industry to tackle some of online safety's toughest challenges with more efficient evidence-based policies that put protecting children first. Because whilst we've made truly impressive progress to tip the scales back in favour of parents, teachers and children, the Safer Internet Centre's research confirms that there is still a lot more to do. Just take increasingly powerful AI, which, like much of the online world, offers incredible opportunities for our young people, but unfortunately also brings with it a myriad of new risks. 70% of young people who have used generative AI say they're excited about its uses and the ability to improve their lives and the lives of their friends. But 3/5 of them also believe that it has real safety risks for children too. So we've adopted a pro-innovation, a pro-safety approach, which will be essential if we are to tackle the challenges that come with this transformative technology. And today we've launched our response to our AI white paper, showing that we are ready to do just that, building on the successes of our AI Safety Summit last year and the pioneering work of the AI Safety Institute to promote safe AI for the good of the British people. But whether we're talking about the possibilities of AI or the dangers of social media, the inspirational young people I've met here today have made one thing clear. Governments and tech companies will not succeed on online safety if we act alone. Building a better internet will take each and every one of us. That starts by talking openly and honestly with young people about how we can stay safe online, how we can support others to stay safe too. And on Safer Internet Day, we have an opportunity to kickstart those conversations here in London and in kitchens and classrooms across the country. Together, we can prepare ourselves to seize the opportunities of the internet age and help them to live happier, healthier lives online. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to working with many of you as we continue this journey. Thank you.
And now, to wrap up our live-streamed event, please can we welcome back to the stage Will Gardner.
Thank you, Rufaro. Thank you, Minister. We've gone slightly over for the online event, so hopefully you're still there and you're still with us, but we are going to say goodbye to you shortly. But before you go, Safer Internet is still going on. There are still things that you can do to get involved if you haven't already. That includes going online, registering as a supporter, getting involved with the social media activity which is going on. So I really want to encourage you. And I think we've all been given a strong call from the young people, almost uniformly from all the amazing talks that we've had from them today, is it's good to listen, but we need to do something too. And I see that we've got a very busy year ahead of us in a whole number of different ways as we see the Online Safety Act coming, and it needs all of us to try and make sure that that is going to work in the best way that it needs to, but also to keep pace with this new tech that we've heard discussed in some of the sessions today. So I'm going to just stop there, say a huge thank you to all those who are online. For those who are here, you haven't finished yet. There's more workshop activity for you. So I'm going to hand back to Cosima, who's going to take things from here. Thank you.
We've had a fantastic time hosting you today, hearing from so many speakers and celebrating all the fantastic ways that young people are using the internet.
Absolutely. But Safer Internet Day is not just a celebration, it's also about starting a national conversation about how we can make the internet a safer and more positive place. For those of you watching and listening today, we want to remind you of the request made first by Emma and Jack, then by Samia and Lewis.
It is great that you are making time to listen to young people, but listening alone is not enough. You need to work together to take away from everything you've heard today and make changes that will make the internet a safer, more positive place for all of us, not just on Safer Internet Day, but every day.
As digital champions and as Youth Advisory Board members for the UK Safer Internet Centre, we are passionate about making the internet safe for children and young people, and we're working hard to do what we can, but we can't do it alone.
To those of you watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope you have a great afternoon. Happy Safer Internet Day.